Hello, my name is Mike Frederiksen. I am the Curator and Education Coordinator for the Poplar Grove Vintage Wings and Wheels Museum. I'd like to welcome you to the second segment of Fred Machesney Building Community. This video has been made possible by Wallem Associates. Today, we will be talking about Fred Machesney's early aviation career and his move to Rockford. In 1924, Machesney finally saved up enough money to be able to purchase his own Curtiss Jenny. He paid $1,000 for his aircraft, which was about the equivalent of a car during the time period. The Curtiss Jenny was originally a military trainer for World War I cadets. Approximately 90% of America's pilots during World War I trained in part or all on the Curtiss Jenny. Approximately 7,000 of them were built during the war effort. However, after World War I, the aircraft was deemed obsolete and they were made widely available to the public. The aircraft was cheap and parts were plentiful. This made the aircraft a perfect choice for barnstormers of the era. Now, barnstormers were nomadic performers who flew from town to town to put on an air show, give rides, and lessons. What they would typically do is they'd fly over a city and drop leaflets in order to get the attention of the townspeople. Then they would fly to a nearby farm and land and negotiate use of the field for their show, which is where the word barnstormer came from. Many famous aviators that we know of today got their start in barnstorming, including Lindbergh and Bessie Coleman. Machesney and his new aircraft traveled around Illinois, Wisconsin, and Iowa, performing stunts and giving rides. Later, he joined the Svensson Flying Circus. A flying circus is a group of barnstormer performers. Life as a barnstormer was tough, but he did make a decent living. He noted that he was able to work all summer, take the winter off, and still have anything that he needed. Later the same year, in 1924, Machesney started his first flying field on the east side of Kewanee, and he called it Machesney Flying Field. It soon became clear, though, if he wanted to grow and expand his operation, he would need to move to a bigger city. He consulted with his friend and Moline Airport manager Rusty Campbell. Campbell was a veteran pilot and experienced at running airports. His Moline Airport was considered the class of the region. Together, the two men narrowed Machesney's choices down to Aurora, Springfield, and Rockford. Machesney had already established a relationship with a few Rockford business leaders due to his attendance at the Trask Bridge Picnic in 1926. Machesney was very impressed with Rockford's growing industry. The Rockford Chamber of Commerce was equally impressed with Fred Machesney. The chamber and business leaders believed strongly that Rockford could develop into a major national aviation hub due to its centered location between major cities in the region. The chamber struck a deal with Machesney to help sponsor and fund his move and his development of his new airport in Rockford. In June of 1927, Machesney leased a 55-acre farm on North 2nd Street near Harlem Avenue from Dr. Warren Miller. Dr. Miller was an early supporter of flight, and his farm had been used as a landing strip in the past for touring aviators. Initially, Machesney had one employee. His name was Al St. John. St. John was initially Machesney's mechanic, but he later became an aviator himself. On June 7, 1927, the airport was officially designated as Rockford's official airport by the Chamber of Commerce. The chamber noted that the honor was given to Machesney due to the excellent type of his equipment, his extensive experience, and the fact that he was a government-licensed pilot. 1927 was the first year that the federal government required commercial pilot's licenses in the United States. Previously, there was no restrictions on who could fly. Fred was among the first to secure a federal license, with license number 408. Machesney also opened up a business office, in addition to his airport, which was located at 421 East Jefferson Street, which is near present-day Hyde Park and the Social Security office. When Machesney came to Rockford, he owned 2 aircraft, a Curtiss Jenny and a Waco 9. Unfortunately, the Waco 9 would be involved in an accident and destroyed. But soon after, he purchased a Fairchild FC-2, which was a 4-passenger aircraft, and quickly became one of Fred Machesney's favorites. Later that year, he also purchased a couple Travel Air aircraft as well, which were 3-seat airplanes. Later that year, Machesney would also become a Travel Air dealer himself. In 1928, Secretary of Commerce William P. McCracken visited the city to talk about the potential value and need for Rockford to have its own municipal airport. In order to meet the ambition of becoming a national aviation commerce center, the city needed a bigger and better equipped airport. That meant longer runways, lighting, hangars, and navigational aids. The Camp Grant location was considered, but was deemed too expensive. The government wanted $40,000 for the property, which was well over $1 million in today's money. Money was a major obstacle to expansion. They did find a new location later on in 1928, and Machesney moved north and leased a 170-acre farm, which was owned by William Zyak. This location was located approximately a half-mile north of his previous location and also on North 2nd Street. This location is the present-day site of the Machesney Park Mall. Machesney operated out of both fields temporarily until the new field was ready. The new field needed to be graded, and he also needed to remove fences. The new move also included plans to build 2 new multi-airplane hangars, a beacon tower to aid in navigation, red boundary lights, and a spotlights for runways. The lighting was added to allow Machesney's airport to be used 24 hours a day. These changes were all made in order to get the airport certified for official government and airmail use. It was also hoped that the airport would be added to the official air charts. Machesney's previous hangar that he was using was also moved to the new site, and the move and improvements were sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce, with the hopes that the airport would be self-sustaining within a few years. In 1928, Federal Inspector James Kinney gave Rockford Airport its official approval. And that was on May 30th. A few weeks later, on June 15th, the airport was officially dedicated and opened. It didn't take long for Machesney's Rockford Airport to become a frequent host to many aviators, including business leaders and touring aircraft from all over the country, including Jimmy Housup and his famous mystery ship, and famous air racer Speed Holman. Local business leaders also began to see the value of the airport in the region and began chartering services from Machesney. They were using his airport as a base of operations to conduct business all over the region. Businessmen could fly to Minneapolis, Madison, Milwaukee, and other cities in the region and conduct their business and still be home for dinner. It changed everything in terms of how to run a business in the area. The U.S. Department of Commerce also declared the airport as one of the best in the region. The move to the bigger site was also extremely beneficial to Bert Fish Hassel. Bert was planning a flight that many had hoped would put Rockford on the aviation map internationally. Please join us next time for segment 3, Bert Hassel and the Fred Machesney Connection. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.